Hey everyone, welcome to the 10 and 2 podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Catlin.
And we're here every week talking watches, photography, adventure, and exploring the world of horology. How's it going?
Oh, I want to be super Southern and complain about the weather, which I feel like we're very justified to complain about.
It's totally fair.
I've been stuck in my home since Sunday. Temperature, like the high yesterday was 14 degrees. And I'm just not... That's Fahrenheit. I know we have a lot of UK listeners, and I don't know the conversion, but it's cold.
It is, yeah.
It's very cold.
Mm-hmm. I think last night the low was like 7 or something like that. It's crazy.
I can't. This is ridiculous.
And I know,
So
like, y'all are going to
ridiculous.
be like, oh gosh, you're complaining about the weather. But this literally happens like every 10 years for us. It never happens. And it's completely, it's so random. We had, weeks of like 60-degree weather, 50-degree weather, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's like 13. And then next week it's back to
Also,
60s.
Yeah, right? We don't get snow. Just to be clear, we're not snowed in.
Mm-mm.
It is like an inch and a half of ice outside my house right now. If we were to have a quote-unquote snowball fight, I'm giving somebody a black eye. Like... We had, I don't think I've lived here my whole life. I don't think I've ever seen literally 24 hours of nonstop nonstop sleet.
Yeah.
Where it's just like literally ice all day for an entire 24-hour period.
It's like little
and then
pellets.
like there's a little dusting. Yeah, right? Like you could hear it. It sounded like it was pouring rain outside, but it was sleet. So that's the issue. I know. I love all of our listeners, and some of y'all Northerners like to come at us in the South, but man, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
And poor Texas. Bless Texas's heart. Like,
I know. At least we have power.
Anybody in Texas. I know. Oh, man. I could not imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm freezing in my house with my heat going.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine just not having any power.
Yeah.
Man.
Lots of prayers going up to the folks up in Texas or over in Texas. They have it 10 times worse than we do. And, we have a little ice and we did get a little bit of snow that kind of went right on top of the ice, but the roads are so dangerous. Like, I was supposed to be in my new house, like recording this podcast, but we're not. I'm still
Bless your heart.
Everything has been canceled.
You picked the worst week to try and move.
I know. And it's just how it goes, right? We picked this date like a month ago. Who'd have thought we would have this snowstorm? But luckily, the buyers of our house are kind of in the same situation, and everybody's very understanding so far. So we got a couple more days here. I've got a fort built that I'm recording in, and I have all the time in the world the next few days. So.
I have all the time in the world, and I have gotten absolutely nothing done.
Well,
I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know what happens during the days.
It's very confusing. It's very confusing. All my shit is packed up in boxes. I had to dig all of this stuff out. I had to find it to just record today because we thought we were moving yesterday. We thought we were going to be moving yesterday, and we weren't. So. Yeah, it's just a disaster, but it's fine because, that's how it goes when you move. Everything turns into a disaster. Today's podcast episode is brought to you by Houdinki Insurance, a new venture partnering both Houdinki and Chubb, two industry leaders in their respective fields. Houdinki Insurance is a refreshing new way to protect the timepieces we enjoy and collect. It's a true game changer in that it was designed by watch enthusiasts for watch enthusiasts, and it makes the process of insuring your watches as simple as possible by eliminating the typical pain points that can make insuring your timepieces difficult. Stay tuned later in the episode for more information, and be sure to check out insurance.houdinki.com or download the Houdinki app on iOS or Android. But so I think today we're doing a pretty easy episode because I don't have my computer. I don't have any way to really do any like hardcore notes or anything like that. And we decided, because we get asked so many times for us to do a State of the Collection podcast. And we did one, I think, back in 2019 at the very end of the year. And I was kind of hesitant to do another one because I never want to come off braggy. I know that there's a lot of people that are in different positions. 2020 was a hard year for a lot of people. And I didn't want to come off like we're bragging about the pieces we have. That being said, we get asked, at least weekly for us to do this. And I thought, well, I've got all my watches here. I've got them all out. I know that we both have a different collection than what we had in 2019. So as far as like or at least I know I have. I know you've got several new pieces too. And let's talk about some of our pieces, at least like the kind of core ones. I know we both probably have some swatches and stuff stuck in drawers, but I thought let's go over the main pieces that we wear weekly at least.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited because, like you said, we've been hesitant to do it because we don't want to come off as braggy or pretentious, but people ask, and so and I think one of the interesting things is both of us we save for purchases. We really try and do things smart. We've both now sell watches to buy. We try as smart as anybody could be who buys watches, right? But we definitely do. We try to be responsible with it. I've now gotten to where I'll sell watches in order to buy a new watch, which is what you've done a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that people, it's kind of like houses, right? Like this isn't the collection that we started off with, right? Like, both of us started like really deep in this hobby, maybe about around the same time, 3-4 years ago. And neither of us started off with these watches. This was stuff that we built up into, we flipped into, we traded into. Same thing with the house. A lot of people, you buy your first house, or, even when you move out of your parents' home, you get an apartment. Then eventually you get a nicer apartment. You buy your first house, and then, you buy your forever home. And I feel like it's kind of a similar situation. So everybody's at a different place in their watch collecting journey. And there's no shame wherever you are in it. Like, as long as you're doing what you love and you buy what you like, then go for it.
I totally agree.
Do we have any order we're doing this in?
I don't know. I was just like looking at my pieces. I was
We're so unprepared.
Do I want to go alphabetically? Do I want to go because I don't even remember when I actually got some of these pieces. Like, I don't think I can go in that particular order, or we can just completely go random. Maybe by like most worn to maybe least worn.
Well, let's start. Let's do this. Let's do what's most recent purchase.
Oh, okay. I like that. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it. So, Kat, have you bought a watch this year? I'm trying to. We both bought a watch this year.
Oh, yeah.
We both bought the same watch.
The swatch, the Houdinki swatch. I don't even have that on my table. I forgot. It's packed in a box somewhere. Yeah, I have it because I think I was gonna. I haven't actually worn that watch. I plan to give it to my sister, and I haven't seen my sister just because of COVID and everything, and she lives quite a distance away from me. I haven't seen her in a bit, so I still have it, but I literally haven't worn it at all.
Yeah, I think I've worn mine once.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of those impulse buys.
We're so stupid, though. We were so dumb because we were like, oh, it's going to be limited edition. We both got on there and bought it within like 2 minutes.
Each other. I was late to work. I have to be at work at 10 a.m. and I was sitting in the parking lot at 10 a.m. texting you, hopping on the Hodinkee website. We are so easy. We're so gullible.
We are.
So easy.
We didn't even read it.
Like,
we didn't
really
read it.
Watches. No.
Where it clearly says it's like not a limited edition. That's fine. It's fine. And then like a week later, totally they did the John Mayer G-Shock, and that one was a limited edition. And we decided, since we had just bought this swatch, that we weren't going to buy the G-Shock. Which the G-Shock is cool, but I think the swatch is probably like a little bit more me, because we both are fans of the square G-Shocks. Which is another watch that I know we both have in our collection, and that's the Gorillas Edition G-Shock 5600 series that we were gifted from Rob, our friend over at Topper Jewelers, at the end of 2019. And I still have this watch. It's the only G-Shock I now have, because I've cleared out my G-Shock collection. And it's my favorite. Like, it looks so good. It's got pink and like this baby blue color on it. I'm a Gorillas fan too, so that's awesome. But it's just like the perfect color combo. And I get compliments on this watch like all the time when I wear it.
Yeah.
Which is so awesome that like people compliment my G-Shock. It's fine though. You don't buy your watches for others. You buy them for yourself. But yeah, I'm glad that people do notice that one on my wrist because it's a very cool watch.
It's hard not to notice, right? Like even non-watch people notice it because it has like the fun colors. You've got the fuchsia, the blue, and you wouldn't think, like when I first saw it in pictures, I wasn't the biggest fan. But when you see it in person, like the colors are bright, but they're still kind of muted. It all just works really well together. And it's a fun G-Shock.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm a Gorillas fan. So it's just a lot of fun to have.
So what about you? What is your next latest purchase?
So my most recent purchase is actually going to be the Zen 104.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to check out Zen Watches for quite some time. A friend of mine sent me his 104. This is the one with the white dial black bezel. So he'd sent it to me to check out because he was planning on selling his. And so I was wearing it for a while. We were texting one night. He offered it to me for a ridiculously stupid price that I could not say no to. So I bought it. After I said I was going to be very careful about watch purchases this year and be very smart, I tend to be I think I'm mostly an opportunity buyer. Like none of my watches, with the exception of the Grand Seiko, which we'll talk about, none of my watches I really like dug into and like did a lot of searching for or history, anything like that. Mm-hmm. It was just like it just happened to come up at a great price, so I bought it. Which I don't think there's anything wrong with, but I didn't want to do that this year because that's how I wound up with way too many watches.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's cool. I don't, it's not my most worn watch. I like the white and the black bezel combo. Tyler, my son, he likes to wear it too. So that works out very well. He really enjoys it. He probably wears it much more than I do. And I have it paired. So this one came on like a brown leather strap, which I'm not a fan of mixing brown and black usually.
Yeah.
So I have it paired on like this sailcloth strap that's from a company called Artem Strap Company.
Okay.
And I'll put a link on our show notes because I really do love their straps. I've gotten several of them over the years. The sailcloth is a really great quality. So I really, really love these straps that this brand does. But yeah, that's going to be my most recent watch purchase.
I agree with you on the impulse buying because that is how at one point my collection was just huge because I would just find something that was on sale or maybe I saw it on a watch recon alert. Someone was just giving a deal on a watch and I couldn't pass it up and I got suckered into that a lot. And now, unless I'm specifically looking for something, I don't look at the alerts. I try not to look online. Like I definitely don't go to like Topper's website because Rob sometimes does these. No, he does these deals every single week where they have the pre-owned selection.
I know.
And it no doubt like every single time that he posts it, there's a watch that I want that's in there. So I just don't look at him anymore. And that's really helped me a lot. Just avoidance. Unless I'm on the hunt for something specifically.
I try so hard. Instagram doesn't help either.
No.
Because you start falling in love with something and then somebody's selling something in their stories and you're like, oh, it's only a few $100s. But it adds up over time.
Yeah. So. And especially those pieces that are, just a few $100s because it's easy to say, oh, it's just a couple $100. Like that's not a big deal, but it does add up after a while. And then you realize, wow, I have over $1,000 worth of watches that I don't wear. So,
yeah. And that you could spend on something else.
Yeah, like one really cool watch. Or something completely non-watch related.
Do you get hashtag all the watches or hashtag one badass watch? Like it's a real struggle.
Yeah, and right. My collection has gone down. I mean, I'm only looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I've got that swatch. So I have like 6 pieces, and that's it.
Jesus.
So I don't have. As we're talking about some of these cheaper watches that are like Seikos and stuff like that are easy to buy on impulse. Like I sold my Safari, which I thought that I would keep that watch for a long time, but I really only had that watch because I liked wearing it outdoors and I liked wearing it mountain biking, and I've actually stopped doing that. I sold my bike because I don't like to bike alone. It's kind of dangerous, and
Yeah.
For different reasons. I'm a female out there by myself on trails. Secondly, if I fall and I'm break my neck, I'm out there alone. So my husband he doesn't like to ride. We like to hike. So I just said, all right, well, I'm done mountain biking. As much as I love it, I don't want to go alone. So I like to hike with him. I get just as much enjoyment, and then I can take my cameras and stuff. So it's a whole new level of fun for me. But I sold the Safari because I just wasn't wearing it. And to be honest, Catlin, like I'm getting over the the beater watch. Like, you have to have a beater watch in your collection.
Are you?
Yeah, I think I'm over it.
Okay.
I think I'm like, you know what? If I'm going hiking, I'm taking my Omega. I'm taking something cool because I want to wear the watches that I spend money on. I don't want them to sit at home while I wear something cheaper when I'm going out. Now, if I was working on or working in the garden, or if I was like getting my hands super muddy or like incredibly dirty, I might put on the G-Shock for that, which I will always have a G-Shock for. But the other like Seiko beater divers and stuff, I think I'm just done with. And the way that Seiko's also moving up in their price range, I'm like, I don't really like that either. So it's kind of forced me into this way of thinking that I just want to wear the pieces that I spend money on. And there's no reason you can't wear them. They marketed them for those type of activities, for like adventure and diving. And it's like these watches, we baby them so much sometimes. Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there. I know you were going to ask me my next one. All right. So the next one that I have in my collection is my Datejust. That was the most recent purchase, I think. And I bought that at the end of last year. And then I gifted it kind of to myself. Husband kind of gifted it to me. It was his gift to me, but I kind of gave it to myself, whatever. I picked it out because I just really wanted it. It was an excuse, right? You turn 30, you need a Datejust.
Exactly.
So I have the 36 millimeter blue dial with the fluted bezel. And I absolutely love this watch. I won't go on too much about it because I know I've talked a lot about this watch. But I actually haven't worn it in the last few weeks because I've been packing up my house. And when you're packing boxes, I don't want to scratch anything. So it's been kept away. I feel bad, like I haven't worn it in a while. But it's such a beautiful watch, the most comfortable watch. And I'm just such a fan of it.
Is there any regrets that you went 36 over 41?
No, I like the way the 41 millimeter looks too. I really do. And I think I could easily pull it off, no doubt. But I like that this is something different in my collection. It's not a big sporty watch. It's a little dressier. I can wear it on those occasions that I want to be a little more dressed up. And the 36, it's like, I don't know, they're built kind of like tanks, this oyster case that Rolex uses. And they're just a little chunky, and I like them.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I just playing devil's advocate. So I felt like I should ask. I don't know that we've ever really talked about it.
Yeah, and I think if I was going for like an Oyster Perpetual, then I might go the bigger one. But like the Datejust, I feel like is a little dressier, and I just want to have it. I want to have it available to use during those situations that I want something dressier to wear, because I don't really have something like that in my collection. So it kind of gives me that opportunity too.
Yeah.
But what about you? What's next in your collection?
Since we're talking about recent big purchases that we talk way too much about on the podcast, I'll just go ahead and knock out the Grand Seiko, the SPGV 245, that I'm still just absolutely madly in love with. I don't think this watch can do no wrong at all.
Nope.
And I'm waiting on new straps to come in from the strap tailor over on Instagram. He made me a couple of straps, and I'm so excited, and I cannot wait for them to get here.
Yeah, so. You showed me a picture. They look fantastic.
Yeah. Great
color options too.
Yeah. I'm going to embrace being a woman who wears these big sports watches for a few minutes. So yeah, I'm super excited. So excited. And that's what I love. I think, and both of us can attest to this, like having watches that are versatile as far as strap options. Mm-hmm. I think it's easy to just like get caught up in buying multiple watches, but the reality is, we can't afford to buy every watch we want every single year, or multiple big watches every year. But having like a nice watch that you can just change the strap up and the bracelets up and spend, $80 to $150 if you want something custom a little bit more, on a new strap, and just getting a whole new look out of the watch. It is so rewarding to me.
I agree. So next I have my Omega Seamaster 300, the white dial, the polar dial. And I actually just put it back on the Omega bracelet, and
I saw that.
I hate it. I want to take it off already. I love this watch.
I feel so bad for Omega because everybody has complained about this bracelet. It's the first thing Adrian, when he did his review, that he complained about. So, yeah.
Well, I love this watch on so many different levels. The case, the bezel, the dial, everything is just great to me. I even, I don't mind the size, but the bracelet just falls short. It's kind of cheap feeling. The edges are really sharp. The lack of taper, it's not comfortable on the watch. And as someone that is 99% a bracelet person most of the time, it really sucks because I want to wear this on the Omega bracelet. I like an OEM bracelet, and I'm trying. I've had it on there for 2 days now, and every time I put it on, I'm just like, man, I want to take this off. And the bracelet, it's got a great quick adjust. It's got a diver's extension. It's really cool. It's got some great features, but they just didn't machine it as well as they machined the case. The case is fantastic, and the finishing is so good. And I don't know why, Omega they dropped the ball on the bracelet on these, and with the Aquaterras too, because I've owned the new Aquaterras. Bracelet's kind of the same. It gave me the same feeling when wearing it. I just didn't like it. Again, I love this watch so much. It's great. It's fantastic. I'm even considering once I get the sub, I'll probably still keep it because I like it that much. And I think it'll be a lot different than the sub. And let's be honest, I'm probably not getting the sub anytime soon. So this one will be in my collection for a while. And it really irks me. But other than that, I have loved this watch. And the lume is fantastic. I got a really, really, really cool lume shot that I'm saving for Friday night in the snow the other day. And I don't often capture a good one that's just in the wild, I should say. Not studio lighting, because that's kind of easy to do when you've got all the black lights and all that kind of stuff and the flash. But
right.
When you're just out there, it's just using my cell phone flashlight to light it up and then take a snap. And I'm really excited to post that one. But yeah, Omega. Maybe one day they'll fix the bracelet on these.
Aw, and it is a little frustrating for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are, you and I both are really big fans of wearing OEM bracelets.
Yeah.
And wearing bracelets on watches. So I say that as I look down, and so many of my watches right now are on leather straps. But
yeah, and I don't I don't mind wearing it on a NATO, but I don't want to wear it on a NATO all the time. I want to wear it on a bracelet.
Right.
And the closest thing I get is I have that Milanese mesh that is from the wind-up shop that I put on it, and it feels really good. It kind of gives me the bracelet feel, but still, I long to have a bracelet that's made for the watch. And maybe Omega will do one day, and I can exchange it out. It's just really weird to me because I've seen the Speedmasters, the one prior to the new one, and their bracelets were much heftier than the Seamaster bracelets in the Aquaterra. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they redesigned them this way, but yeah, if someone from Omega's listening,
they're more flat. Yeah, I think that's the thing is they're very flat. The older bracelets, even though it's the same exact design, the bracelets were a little bit more curved on the edges, on the underneath, and so they were more comfortable to wear. I have an older Aquaterra.
Yeah, exactly.
I have the old Speedmaster bracelet. To me, I don't mind the lack of taper. I kind of like it in a sports watch, but that's just a personal preference. But the comfort of just having that rounded finish instead of the flat finish.
Yeah.
The flat edges they do make it very sharp and a little bit more uncomfortable, especially on a smaller wrist too, just because the way that the bracelet hangs.
Exactly.
Anyways,
and the links are a little lighter. Again, they're sharp like you said, and these links are also long, so you don't have it doesn't form to your wrist as comfortably as it should. And then you've got this huge clasp on it as well. And I've got a 6.5 inch wrist. It's not tiny by any means. And it's just not comfortable, and I wish it was, because this watch otherwise would be perfect. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens later on down the road. But anyway, what's your next one?
If we're talking Omega divers, I will talk about the Planet Ocean. So, this was one of my very first, really my first actual really nice watch purchase. I have the previous generation Planet Ocean. I have the white dial, white bezel, and 42 millimeters. And I actually purchased this on the white rubber strap, which I never wear it that way. But I did that because I knew I would never wear the OEM bracelet. And instead, I purchased a vintage Omega shark mesh bracelet that has a seatbelt clasp.
I love that one.
And I love it. The bracelet always gets so many comments, and I think it's so different. You always see, you see a lot of like Milanese mesh and things like that, but you don't see as much shark mesh. And even the clasp. The clasp was something I was super like, I was like, oh, surely over time this is going to wear out. But I've had this watch for probably 4 years now. And I mean, the spring's still tight on it. It still operates like a champ. And I just love it. The all white is such a fun look. I've gone back and forth on this watch a lot lately, or probably sometime last year. I think when you were having your whole thing about the Polar Explorer, and we had tons of conversations, off air about it, about the way that the loom was coloring and things like that. I feel like. And it's one of those things that once you see something, you don't unsee it.
Yeah.
And so the greenish tint to the Super Luminova that Omega uses, it's a slight color difference against this bright white dial. And so like I've started to notice that, and it's kind of all I see. In some lights it's fine, but in most lights I can kind of see the little bit of the color difference. And yeah, it's hard because it kind of drives me a little crazy right now, but I'm not getting rid of this watch for quite a while. I do still love it. I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I've been wearing it a lot lately, actually, recently.
Oh, really? Because I know I think we recorded a few episodes ago. You said like you really hadn't worn that watch in a long time.
No, in the last couple of weeks, I've worn it pretty consistently. Not this week because I really haven't worn anything this week since I've just been home all day. Which is blasphemous, I know, but still. I think it was hard because this is my summer watch, right? Like this watch screams summer. The white on white, it just has a very like Miami summer South Beach feel to it. But last summer I didn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even go to the pool. Everything was closed down. And I don't feel like I had a summer last summer. So maybe that's just kind of where my disconnect with this watch stems from. I know that makes no sense, guys. There's no logic to any of this. Just go with it. I'm trying to fall back in love with it again. So I've been wearing it a little bit more and enjoying it a bit more.
That's smart because I think a lot of people, I know that I've certainly felt this way too, is when I feel like I'm falling out of love with a watch, maybe it's sitting in a safe, maybe I'm just looking at it, but I think putting it back on, wearing it for a little while, just like making sure that, your feelings are true, essentially. This sounds crazy when we're talking about watches. But.
These are relationships. It's fine. I'm more committed to my watches than I am most relationships in my life.
Oh, man. But it's so true. I mean, you have to.
It is so true.
You got to make sure because you send it off, you send it away, and then you can't get it back. And I kind of have a funny story. So someone reached out to me this week on Instagram. I don't want to pull it up on my phone. I'm scared it's going to mess up our recording. But he lives in Canada, and he's like, "Hey, I saw that your Grand Seiko was for sale. I just want to make sure it's like not stolen or anything." And I was like, "What? I don't have a Grand Seiko for sale." And it was my old GMT, the SBG M221, I think is the reference number. And apparently it's made its way to Canada now. Like it's been sold a couple times since I sold it like back last summer, I think, or even spring. And
I think spring. It was early last year.
Yeah, he sent me a screenshot of like the because he ended up buying it, and the papers had my name on it because I was the original owner of the watch. So I was like, oh wow,
that's amazing.
It's made its way to Canada, but just kind of on what we were talking about, like I missed that watch so much, and I got rid of it because of a reason. It doesn't have high water resistance. I had a job that I was washing my hands like 100 times a day. And I was just worried about it. And I'm not at that job anymore. So I'm doing some other things. And now I kind of want the watch back. I miss it.
I feel like you should reach out to him. And if he ever decides to sell it,
I thought about that.
You should get first right of refusal.
And it would be my watch. It would be my watch.
To get your watch back. Yes. That needs
It's probably all scratched up.
It's fine. We'll refinish it. It's totally fine.
Yeah, it'll be gone at Grand Seiko, like for servicing for 16 months. I did think about that. I thought about, I should reach out and just be like, hey, if you decide to flip it or sell it, because obviously many people have. Yeah, I thought it would be kind of cool to like buy my own watch back.
Just to let you know, and maybe, but you could make that decision. If he sends you pictures, if a year from now he said, look, I'm getting rid of it, not my cup of tea, and he sent you pictures and it was all scratched up, you could politely say, no, it's okay. I think I'm just going to do something different. And then you could buy a new one or a better used one. But if it's not scratched up, that would be really cool to have. That would be a cool story. Back.
Yeah.
It would be like, it's meant to be. If you love something, you're supposed to let it go, and then it comes back to you, right?
Is that how it's supposed to work?
I don't know.
I feel like once you let it go, it's gone. Oh, man. Who knows? Maybe one day. I do have a lot of regrets about that watch, and I feel like I want it back at some point. I do want that, not that specific one, but like I do want that watch back in my collection.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it's my turn.
Yeah.
Let's see, next, I think the Fears, which we both got Fears watches last year. And this was for our first anniversary of the podcast, which was back in the end of July.
Aww.
I know.
I think it was July 29th.
Yeah.
This watch is so special.
Yeah, so I got the Redcliffe date. I think you got the Redcliffe.
I got the Redcliffe Continental. So mine has the GMT added to it.
Yeah, which is really cool. And they're both quartz watches. And besides my G-Shock, it is the only other quartz watch that I have right now. And it's great. Nick went out of his way. I know we've told the story, but he had the back engraved and our logo is on it with the first year of 10 and 2 and 2020, which it's just kind of yes, it was our first year of the anniversary of the podcast, but also like 2020 was a really strange year for everyone. And I think for us, like we were really successful in a year that could have been really bad for us and as many people. So it's just a really special watch. And, we became close to him, lots of other brands last year because we were able to talk to a lot of people that we normally wouldn't have been able to talk to prior to. So just 2020, I think, is a year that I will always remember. I think a lot of people will. And this watch, so I have the white dial. You have the white-ish dial, right? It's kind of white.
Yeah,
gray.
I have a white dial too.
It's white. Okay, It's pure white. I always can't remember if you have the gray or the white. No, but it's just a fun watch. I wish I could say I wore it more. And if Nick is listening, because I know he's going to, I don't because I'm scared. I don't want to ruin this watch. It's like a memento, and I want this to last forever. And so I don't. Like I wear it on special occasions, which is like never anymore. But I love this watch. It's so fantastic, and he did such a great job. He did a couple special things for us on it, and I don't want to mess it up. I want to keep it in really good condition because I want to have it for a long time.
Yeah, I feel you there. I don't wear this watch as often as I should. I think as I say that, I think I'm going to start wearing mine today because I'm not wearing anything anyways. But yeah, no, and it went beyond the engraving. Nick, it's really cool because, we've gotten to become really great friends with Nick and he knows us, he knows our style. These watches are typically full polished cases and he knew that is not us. So he had, the case brushed. He really went above and beyond to make this a special piece for us. And I will always remember that and absolutely adore this watch for that. But yeah, definitely a special piece for both of us.
Yeah.
And now a word from today's sponsor. Houdinki, the preeminent resource for all things watches, has recently announced a new venture, Houdinki Insurance. Created in partnership with Chubb, the world's premier insurer of valuable collections, Houdinki Insurance is a game changer in how you protect the watches you love. Signing up takes just a few minutes, and in most cases, you can instantly protect your watches with comprehensive insurance backed by two of the most trusted names in their industries. In most cases, you won't need independent appraisals or sales receipts, and you won't even have to speak with an agent to get your quote. The ease in which you can apply for Houdinki Insurance and get coverage makes insuring traditionally difficult timepieces, such as vintage watches, better now than ever. Not to mention the added peace of mind that comes with the appreciation protection, guaranteeing up to 150% of your watch's value up to the policy limit, ensuring fair value during an ever-changing watch market. Houdinki Insurance is available to U.S. residents in all 50 states. Visit insurance.houdinke.com or download the Houdinki app for iOS or Android to learn more and sign up today.
And then what's next on your list? Or is it back to me?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have more watches still, even though I've started to downsize.
Well, go ahead. Do another one.
I'll knock another one out. So speaking of brands that we've gotten close to, I have the Mint Dial Aquis from Oris. Another, person that we've gotten really close to in this last year is VJ of Oris. He was like the first major brand to ever reach out to us, and I will never forget that experience of we were so newbies in this whole thing, and when we got that email, it was like jumping up and down at work like a schoolgirl and so giddy. And this is a watch that I had been eyeing since it was debuted, I think in 2018. So when they sent it to us to check out, I just absolutely fell in love with this watch and had to have it. I love it. I've been wearing it a lot on the leather strap lately, but I do also enjoy the bracelet to it. But the Mint dial is just absolutely stunning. It's super subtle. And then Oris does a really great job at doing the fume dials, but at a practical price point. So it kind of can't talk today. It kind of gradually gets to where it's a darker gray around the outer minute track and then matches the gray bezel. It's a really great watch and something that's really versatile that I've enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah, I think next for me is my Oris pointer date, the Big Crown pointer date, I guess is the correct term for the watch. But I've got I don't know how to describe this blue. It's like a matte gray blue dial, and it's fantastic. I love this watch. So I am a bracelet person, yes. However, there are certain watches that I do like to wear on a strap, and this is one of them. I got this watch on a bracelet because, again, I fell in love with this watch, and it was back in the day when I was just buying watches because I liked them, and this one kind of stuck with me. Yeah, I love wearing this on a leather strap. I like wearing it even on a NATO. It feels right to me. When I put on the bracelet, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem right. The bracelet's a little polished. It just doesn't go with the watch so much. I think this is a really great field watch. I know it's got pilot heritage, but I still think this is a great field watch.
Yeah.
I love the date complication, the date wheel around the dial. It's just fantastic. It's really thin. It wears so comfortably. The lugs come down on it, and it just hugs the wrist. I've got the 40 millimeter version. A lot of people ask me, why I went with this one instead of I think they do a 36. And the only reason I did is because I was able to try this one on, and I knew that I liked it. But I like the bigger dial. I think on a complication like this, I really want to see it. And I like bigger watches, so I just preferred the bigger dial instead of the smaller. And I don't think they do the blue in the 36. They do green. They do, what's the other colors? I know they have some burgundy ones. They have like a mint green one too. Lots of different options. I really, really, really hope that Oris does more of the Big Crown pointer dates. It's my favorite watch in their lineup. I love the Aquises. I love their dive watches, but this one is my favorite. The only complaint I have about this watch, I know we're not really doing like a review. I'm talking about all the things I don't like about it. The only complaint I've had about this one, and I've worn it for at least over a year for sure now, is the lume. It just doesn't stack up to my other watches. And it kind of sucks because this is a great field watch, but that lume just dies so quickly. And and it's not that way with some of the other watches. Like their dive watches have really great lume, but this one, I don't know, they just didn't apply a lot to it, and it just kind of falls short there. But other than that, it's a great watch. It's one of my favorites to wear. And it's one of the only watches I actually do enjoy wearing on a leather strap instead of a bracelet.
It's a great watch for sure. And like you said, that dial color is really hard to describe.
Yeah, it's like a concrete color, but blue, like a little blue tint to it. I don't know. It's really weird. I love it though. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so good. And it's got this little red pop of that date wheel hand that's going around. And it almost like from far away looks like a GMT, but it's not. And yeah, it's just so good. But that was my last one. So what do you got?
Jesus.
What do you got?
Okay. All right. So left, I'm going to do like the pieces that I actually wear, not the ones that I still have that I need to get rid of.
Okay.
So obviously the Speedmaster,
yeah.
This will always be probably my absolute favorite watch in the collection. And I'm a terrible Speedmaster owner. I don't remember the reference number. It's either 35650 or 37650. One of those. But it is it's a 4 subdial layout Speedmaster. It was originally done in the 80s. They brought it back. Omega brought it back in like the early 2000s. So the 4th register at the 12 o'clock has a moon phase indicator as well as the date. I love this watch because it's still the Speedmaster Professional. It's still NASA certified, but it's not the same moon watch that everybody else has. And as somebody who's super into like the story behind the Speedmaster, you know, the whole NASA tie-in, that I've always wanted a Speedmaster, but having something a little different definitely suits my personality more. I may still pick up like a traditional moon watch 3 subdial, but for me, like this is everything. It has the exhibition case back, so the movements are absolutely stunning. Definitely will always be a very special watch and my favorite watch in the collection for sure.
Cool.
Let's see. The vintage. If we go down the eBay vintage rabbit hole, there is the Omega Dynamic with the blue dial.
Oh, yeah.
So I have the ladies version. I've been wearing this a lot lately too. So I have the ladies version of it. So it's the smaller case size, but I don't know what the case size is on top of my head. The Dynamic is cool because it was really kind of one of the first watches that allowed for like a strap change, and it was marketed as being able to like, you could change straps. Like Omega sold it with like all these different strap colors and this tool, because you actually have to take the case back off to change the strap, which is a little bit of a hassle, but it's a really cool piece. I do enjoy it. And then I also have a vintage Omega Lady Safet, nicknamed Lady. Lady and I have a love-hate relationship. She is back from service for everybody who keeps asking. I just haven't picked her up yet because at this point she's been gone for so long, you know.
Aww.
I forget to go sweep by and pick her up. But she was my first eBay drunken vintage purchase. And I love that watch. I call her Lady. She's so tiny, y'all. Like, I mean, tiny, the size of a pinky nail. But I really do love that watch too, and I'm excited to go get it and get it back. What else? The Notice Contrail, the Contrail. I've had this in the collection for a while. It's the only like blue dial watch that I wear on a semi-regular basis. I have a love-hate relationship with blue. I really want a blue watch, but I can't find the perfect one. I love this dial color. I think this dial color is probably the closest I've come to having a perfect shade of blue. So that's a really great piece. And then I just have like knick-knacky stuff. Stuff that like...
Oh, like the stuff that
Well, yeah, like the stuff that I never really wear and probably should get rid of, but I still have. Like I have the swatch that I made, you know, during a work training thing.
Yeah.
And I even engraved the rotor. My mommy wants it, which I think is so cute. My mom wants like an old school project. So I just need to give it to her already. But yeah, I mean, everything else is just kind of like, stuff that I just need to get rid of, but I haven't yet.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was going to say that I feel like, so I was kind of like missing a watch. And so I did sell my Manta Ocean King. However, gasp, I know, because I'm such a Manta fan. I actually have another Manta that will be incoming pretty soon. So I just kind of upgraded it, if you will. And I will talk about that watch when I get that in. But I'm very excited. I have to always have Monta in my collection. I'm such a fan of them. And yes, they're friends, but beyond that, the watches are just so well made. And I think that it's such a strong competition to watches like Tudor and even Rolex, because Rolex is just so hard to get your hands on nowadays. Like the Ocean King, it has a lot of sub feels. It doesn't look like a sub at all. It's its own thing, but it gives you that same feeling when I wear it on the wrist, which is important to me. So yeah, I just wanted to say that because people are going to be like, oh, she doesn't have her Monta anymore. And I have something incoming. So I'm excited about that.
I totally forgot about that.
I did too.
Yeah. Super exciting. Well, so let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If you only pick up one watch this year, what is it going to be?
I would love for it to be a Submariner. I really would. The chances of me getting a Submariner are super slim. And I've got my name down on a list. I probably should get my name down on a couple lists, which I will do. I don't know if it's going to happen. I really wish it would. And the problem is, and this is what's really hard, because I have savings for this watch and I want to use it on the watch. But if I know that I'm not going to get the Submariner this year, like I have a feeling I might pick up maybe a Grand Seiko or maybe something different.
Yeah.
And I don't want to buy that until I know for sure that I can't get a sub. I'm kind of stuck. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I'll think about it a little bit more in a couple months. So I don't know. I wish that like dealers would be just more straight up with, they're like, yeah, they just can't give you a straight answer. And I get it. Like they don't know what their stock is going to be. But
yeah, but they know that you're number, 12 on the list, and they're probably not going to get 12 watches.
Yeah, like
this
just
year.
like don't bullshit me. Like I'm a big girl. Like just tell me, hey, it's going to be like 2 years before your name comes up, and I will be totally fine with that. Like I'm not a person that's willing to pay over retail for this watch. I just won't. I'll wait as long as it takes to get it. So I just like to know. I just like to know. Is that such a big ask?
Fair enough.
And I know a lot of people are in the same predicament. I know. And I see so many people picking them up. I'm like, how in the freaking world are you able? And they probably spent like way more than I have at their dealer, which is kind of what you have to do, sadly. But yeah, I'm not doing that. So we'll see.
That's a whole other can of worms.
I know. But I think that wraps us up for our collection. And I know we wanted to take a few minutes at the end of this episode to talk about a recent article that caused quite the stir in the watch community. And that was about a week ago from Houdinki. Cara wrote this article, and it was called "All Watches Should Be Unisex, and Here's Why." And I think just the title alone got a lot of people worked up. And obviously the comment section, I think, got a little bit out of hand, as they tend to do on Houdinki's articles, no matter what they are.
Right.
But it got the industry talking. It got a lot of people talking about unisex watches. Should watches be unisex? Should watches have a sex to begin with? And kind of what, and I think personally, a lot of people that disliked the article or were giving Houdinki flack, I don't even think they read it, because if you read the article, Cara goes on to say that, kind of what she wants out of all this is for women to just be represented a little bit more in the industry. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We just both went over our collections, and I know I don't have a single ladies watch, and you have just like a couple that are vintage.
I have the vintage. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think just that alone shows you that, like, obviously we're not afraid to buy watches that are labeled as men's watches. But we're also hobbyists, and we're enthusiasts, and we know a little bit more about this than maybe the average woman walking into a dealer. And the problem to me is, like, yeah, I could buy this watch, but my mom, my sister, my aunt, if they're going on a brand's website to look at watches, they're not even going to click over on the men's section. They're just going to look at the women's watches and the options that they have for ladies. And I think we can all agree that it's just a letdown a lot of times. And I'm not saying that there's not amazing ladies' watches. There are a lot. but not always, and not certainly with every single brand. And some don't even have options for ladies, let's be honest. So, and I think what Cara was trying to stir up was that we should get rid of the labels. A lot of brands have. You go to Omega's website right now. Omega has their watches listed by
by collection.
By the collection, yeah. So you have Seamaster collection, you have the Speedmaster collection, and then you can just scroll through and find one that you like from that collection. And I really like that. Nomos doesn't have, genders on their website either. Again, just by the collection. A lot of brands have a move towards that, which I think is a good step. Is it everything? No, because like you and me have experience, we've walked into a dealer and the dealer said, "Oh, here's 2 ladies. Let's take them to the ladies section." And we don't want to go. Instead of asking us, what we want to look at, what are we here to look for? Exactly. Instead of like, "Oh, you're just a woman, I'm going to take you to the ladies section of watches." And, I told you this the other day and I didn't forget it because I wrote it down. And I said that, when I bought my truck was made for a man. No doubt about it, right? Our trucks are generally made for men. They're advertised for men.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that at all because a lot of men like trucks. But when I walked into the dealership to buy it, they didn't say, "Kat, here's the ladies' vehicles. Here's the ladies' cars. Here's the men's trucks. Now you can go pick." No, they said, "What are you looking for?" And I told them what I was looking for, and then I was able to pick that out. And it wasn't a stereotype like, I didn't have to buy it knowing that it's like, I know it's made for a guy, but like it's not labeled a men's, right? And just like if a dude walked in and wanted a yellow Beetle, the yellow Beetle is not labeled a lady's vehicle, even though a lot of women drive it and it was probably designed for a woman. There's guys that drive that. So I think watches kind of need to be like that. I think they're tools and accessories. They're not clothing, and I think that the labels should just go away. And I kind of went off on a rampant there, and I want to get your take on this too.
No, I agree. I mean, I think first of all, a lot of the comments just prove that a lot of people did not read the article.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, the point, it's totally different than what is kind of expected. And it really, it's beneficial to everyone, for the record. Like, I know, for example, I know so many men who look at so Omega has a 38 millimeter Speedmaster that was originally launched for ladies. It was called the Ladies 38. If you try it on, it's a bracelet that's sized for ladies. But, it kind of replaced the Speedmaster Reduced. So a lot of men like that watch, but they're not going to buy it because they can't get over this idea in their head that it's a lady's watch. Mm-hmm. So this works both ways.
Exactly.
Like you said, we're people who are in this hobby, so we know to go look around. We know to browse the websites. We know what we're looking for. But when you see, women who don't know that, I think, first of all, it does start by sales teams. I think there's a very ignorant way of selling watches by sales staff that needs to go away. There's a lack of building relationships. And as somebody who works in sales, that's such an important factor. And for all of us who buy watches, that's a very important factor. That's why sometimes we go to an AD instead of buying gray market, because we have a relationship with those people. And I feel like there's just so much bad service that you get places, people who, will immediately judge you because of your sex, because of what you're wearing, because of the clothes that you're wearing, and will assume what you can and cannot afford, what you do and do not like, and then will only show you what they think is good for you instead of bothering to get to know you and to find out what you're looking for. That's one, obviously that's going to be a huge thing that will never, that would take years and years to change. That ignorance is going to be around anywhere. Like you said, a lot of brands are doing great on their websites, but I want to see marketing that's done this way. The website is great. You and I screenshotted, and we talked about this a while ago. Last summer, Omega, for the very first time, advertised the Seamaster Diver 300 meter on a woman's wrist in their Instagram stories. And it was everything. And to me, that's so empowering. Being a woman and seeing that makes me think, oh yeah, that watch is made for a woman. And the next story over, it was a man wearing the same watch. There's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like that's where you could really change a lot of the mindset. You can still make these really dainty, really beautiful diamond watches. They're beautiful. Yes. I love looking at them. They're just not my lifestyle. So I would never own something like that. But that doesn't mean obviously the market is still there for them. So still make those. But let's encourage women to wear whatever they want, and let's encourage men to wear whatever they want.
Exactly.
By taking the label off of it, you're saying that it can be anybody's watch. And that's what's important. We want watches to be inclusionary. And I feel like there's still a big letdown in watches. For example, and this goes far beyond sex, right? This also could, we could have a discussion on race, which is another issue with it. How many brands use anybody of color for their advertising? I remember when Hodinkee launched that Grand Seiko, everybody lost their mind in a great way. I'm not saying like in a negative way, but because like it was so rare to see the use of, of anybody of color in major watch advertising. You don't see that often. And I think some brands are really starting to embrace that. And I can see a change. Like I genuinely can see a change, but it's something that, has to continue. And I love that, this is a topic we've been talking about since we started this podcast. But I love that Hodinkee on their platform. Hodinkee, let's be honest, whether you love or hate them, they're the biggest platform that you can get. They have the biggest voice in watches, and they're saying the same message. And it really just kind of perpetuates this a little bit further. And now I've seen more conversations on gender and watches in the last week and a half than I've seen in 2 years.
Exactly.
And, to me, I love that this conversation has started. And I love that brands are getting involved. I love that brands are seeing these conversations and starting to make adjustments. And I think that's where we will start to see some change.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be overnight, and I don't think anything has to be done drastically either. I think there's obviously a market for ladies' watches. We're not saying anything against that. There's plenty of ladies' watches that I do like. Typically, I like just the regular sports models that are considered men's for the most part. And it would just be nice to buy a piece and not have to browse through the men's selection for it, because I have always viewed watches as tools. I don't view them as clothing. And I think the argument from a lot of people is like, well, where does this stop? Is it going to be clothing? And there's a fine line, and it's gray. It's a gray line. It's not black and white. Obviously, the clothing market is freaking like 100 times more than watches. I mean, think about all the clothes that there are. And yeah, we have to find a way to categorize those. But I think that, in my opinion, a watch is a tool. Just like if I go into Home Depot to buy a drill, right? There's not like, oh, here's the ladies' drills, here's the men's drills. Because let's be honest, a lot of times you do see the stuff that's like in pink, and it's cheap crap. Like my mom has bought some of that stuff over the years.
There's that little tool kit, right? That's like, the single woman who lives on her own. Everything breaks in 5 minutes. It's awful.
It's more expensive a lot of times, and it's just like it shouldn't be that way. It should just be genderless. Just like when I go to buy a vehicle, I don't want to be told here's the ladies' vehicles, here's the men's. They're just vehicles. Watches are just watches. There shouldn't be a sex to them. You can find so many different ways to categorize the watches on your website. You can do like Omega and Nomos, and you can have them by, the collection, especially if you have a large collection, or you can just list them by size. We're so used to categorizing things as small, medium, large, extra large. There's nothing wrong with doing that on a website of watches. And you've got mid-size. Here's the options for smaller wrist. Here's for the mid-size wrist. Here's for the large wrist. I don't see the problem with that. I don't see where the issue lies with so many people that are so anti-changing the labels on this. To me, it's not really a political issue. It's just that it's like, it's been happening for years now. Like women want something that's functional. We want the bigger pieces. Like my mom just bought an Apple Watch, and she bought the big, I think like, is it 44 or 42? I think 42 millimeter, right? because she can see that better than the small one. But had she gone in and they would have told her, like, these are the men's and here's the ladies over here, like, she would have just bought the smaller one, but she bought the bigger one because it's more useful for her because she can see it better. And I think, like, that's, like, when you go to buy a phone, you're not like, oh, here's the ladies, like, rose gold and here's, like, the men's gray. You pick what you want or what you like. It's not labeled men's and women's. There's guys that like the rose gold Apple devices. And there's women that like I like the gray, like the dark colors. And these things should be like this. You know, they're tools, they're electronics, they're devices we use. They're not clothing. And I think, you know, clothing, eventually maybe there are brands that are doing more unisex stuff, sure. But it's like, let's just talk about one thing. And then we're talking about watches. So I think there's a lot that can be done. That's just like really simple things. Like you said, you brought up the Omega ad. Let's start seeing brands advertise watches that are in the mid-size range on more guys. And let's start seeing the bigger watches on more females and letting people know that this watch isn't just made for a man. It can be worn by anyone.
But I think the frustrating thing about that Omega ad was reading the comments. And I know you had a moment in the comment section.
I did.
Of that post, if I remember correctly, because, you know, we can say that it's watch brands that need to do this and things like that. But also, like, I'm really going to challenge people who are hobbyists and enthusiasts, not to, like, the judgment of women who wear larger watches. It has to stop. Like, the shitty comments about, oh, that's a man's watch, you shouldn't be wearing that, why is that shown on a woman's wrist, things like that. Like, women see that and they're discouraged.
You become self-conscious about it.
Exactly. I mean, it would be the same for a man who buys a mid-sized watch and then somebody says, oh, that's a lady's watch. You know, you start to question it and you start to doubt yourself. And we're hobbyists, we're enthusiasts, so it doesn't bother us, you know, but we know people who are hobbyists and enthusiasts that it does bother them.
Well, it still bothers me to get those messages, though. Like, I ignore them and I move on, but it annoys me. And it irks me that, like, someone, you know, just take the time to think. And we're not changing anyone's mind. Like, if you are so anti, you know, making watches unisex and taking away the labels, then that's just going to be the case. But, you know, your point is, like, the community is kind of what makes the difference in the long run, not the brands. Like, yeah, some of the brands can be a little misogynistic, but we have dealt, like, 99% of our listeners, first of all, are men. And we appreciate you. You guys are so supportive of us, and we wouldn't really be here without you. All the men that we've dealt with in this industry, whether it's brand CEOs, media people, everyone has been nothing but respectful to us. Where we get the disrespect from is the community. We get from you know, the watch collectors that are sending us messages or commenting on our post. 99% of the time, I just delete it. I don't even want to deal with it anymore. But it has an effect on you, right? And then I look down at my watch, I'm like, you know, it's kind of sad when someone tells you that's not meant for you. Like, it's not a good feeling to hear that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And it's definitely very disheartening. And I think there's so much that needs to change, but there's so many that seems out of our control, right? But there's so many little things that we can do just to encourage more women in the hobby and in the industry in general. I think you're seeing a lot of change. You're seeing more women CEOs, which I absolutely love. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's not a political issue in the least bit. If you want to make money as a watch brand, sell your watches to 100% of the population, not 50% of the population. The end.
Yeah.
You know, and conveniently, that also benefits us as women. You know, that also benefits you guys as men. How would a lot of you guys feel if Tudor said that the Black Bay 36 was a female's watch?
Yeah.
There'd be a lot less of those sitting around. But I mean, it's very frustrating, you know, from a female's perspective. And, you know, I think having things that are just unisex, it makes sense at this point. Like you said, these are tools. That's it. Yeah. And I think that if you have more brands start to think about women, and from day one of this podcast, Kat and I have said, you know, we want the same watch, just in a smaller size, right?
Yeah.
Like, take the Submariner. how many of you guys would want a 38 millimeter Submariner or 36 millimeter Submariner? That's all we want too. So, it's a common goal. It works very well for a lot of guys who want mid-size watches. That mid-size watches don't really exist much. I know that there are some micro brands who do great mid-size watches. There are a few selections of major brands that do mid-size watches, but for the most part, you're sub 35 millimeters or you're above 40 millimeters. Mm-hmm. That in between doesn't really have a good selection, but how great would it be if watch brands were thinking, oh, you know what? Let's make something for this category of people, for both women and men who like this category of watches.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of brands have tried the mid-size options in the past, and we've seen them go away, right? We saw them popular, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they've kind of disappeared. And I think that they failed because they still had the labels. They still had men's, women's, and they didn't really know where to put these watches, right? And so you put it in either or, and then they didn't sell. But if you take away those labels now, you bring back those mid-size options, and you're going to sell more of them. And you brought it up earlier, it has to change with the ADs too, because you get a man that walks in that you obviously see has a smaller wrist. Like, don't go show him these huge watches. Like, maybe he wants something smaller, and not having to walk him over to the ladies section is going to mean a big deal, right? So it's, and you can just reverse that with a woman too. So I think the labels just got to go away. And I think these brands are going to sell more watches. There's nothing wrong with brands designing a watch, I'm not saying, I think it's great when a watch is designed for a man and when a watch is designed for a woman. I think that can still happen, and you can just put the watch on the website under the category it belongs in, and then let whoever they want to choose to wear that watch, right? I know, I'm looking at my Seamaster right now. This was made for a dude. There's no doubt about it, right? But when I see a woman wear this, I feel a little bit more confident, and I feel a little bit more happy that other women are wearing the same watch, and I'm not alone in that I have a guy's watch on my wrist. So, there's a lot to talk about, and we could go on. And I think there's a lot of conversations happening. There's a lot of Clubhouse. There's I forgot the name of the Clubhouse, but there's a lot of great women on Clubhouse.
There's the Watch Femme. I think
Watch Femme.
It is on Clubhouse. Yeah.
So some great conversations going on there. A lot of people are talking about this, and we thought we'd just give our 2 cents, take it or leave it. This is just our opinion. We're not saying we're right. We're just saying this is what we think about it. And again, we appreciate everybody that listens to the show, because we're in a special place, because we're hearing a lot of stories from women that have encounters with guys, and we've had bad ones, no doubt, but. We do feel like, for the most part, people are pretty respectful on our page and to us, and it's getting better. I think it is getting a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But I guess we'll leave it on that as we kind of go over here an hour, which we talked for a while today. I'm cozy in my fort. I really am. The ceiling, the top, I have a sheet on top of me. It's slowly it's crushing me down, but it's cool. It's fine.
But you're warm. You got your little situation.
Yeah.
We're both hiding in closets, basically. It's great. How the mighty have fallen in our podcast recording.
I know.
Setups.
Exactly. Soon enough we'll have a cool setup, and we've got some really, really exciting things that are going to happen with the podcast very soon. And we'll get back to it. We've got some watch reviews to do, and lots of cool stuff. And look out for the interviews coming up, because we're going to have some pretty freaking amazing interviews in the next month or so. I think we're talking to someone at least every Friday for the next month. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, definitely can't wait to keep up with everything going on. Make sure you're following us over on Instagram, Facebook, at 10 and 2 Media. Obviously, make sure you head over to our website, www.tennand2.com, and you'll see photos from the show notes. We'll put some links to some of the more specific stuff that we talked about, some of the straps and watches that we talked about, as well as this Hodinkee article. And give us some feedback. Let us know what your thoughts are. We're very curious to see kind of where everybody sits in this situation. I know it's a very big hot topic, but like you said, we love that this message has now become such a major issue in the in the enthusiast world right now. And we just, like Kat said, we wanted to kind of share our 2 cents and talk about it a little bit from our perspective. So I think with that, that's everything today, right?
I think so.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and we will be talking to you next week. Bye.
Bye.